Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for attending today. For those of you that just attended, my name is Rami Tabara. I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Stake. This is a webinar to talk about 2023 in review. We'll focus on market performance and outlook. On this webinar is Sarah. Sarah, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. So my name's Sarah Hudine. I head up marketing and partnerships for Stake.
So we'll get started, and please, if you have any questions along while we're presenting, please leave them in the Q&A, and we'll try to get all of them answered before the webinar ends, or while we're talking, we have someone as well who will be answering those questions. Okay, let's start. We'll start with the agenda. So we'll start off by introducing Stake. For those of you that don't know what Stake is, who we are, what we do, so we'll give you a quick introduction on that. And then we'll move on to a snapshot of Dubai market in 2023, basically giving you kind of the numbers, what's happened, the transactions, where we feel the market did really well. And then we'll give you some of our market predictions based on the data that we've gathered for 2024. Then we'll get into what's coming next on Stake. What are our plans for this year? We have a lot of exciting introductions that we want to add and obviously let you know about, and then we can drop onto Q&A where we'll be answering as many questions as I said. So let's get started. As I said, we're the hosts, both Rami and Sarah, that we've just introduced ourselves. So let's get down to a rundown on Stake. What is Stake? So as we know, in this part of the world and just anywhere, real estate is a popular asset class. There's a huge affinity to real estate, especially in the last 3 years. I was speaking to someone today and they're like, okay, why real estate? And I think since COVID, as an asset class, real estate has really established itself as one of the most important assets that people need to park their money into. During COVID, everyone was locked up. There was a pandemic. People realized the importance of having a home. And if you look over the world, real estate prices just shot up. Interest rates were low, inflation was high, people started parking money into real estate. And then obviously what happened as interest rates went up, people said, oh, okay, the real estate market is going to slow down. In other parts of the world, real estate did slow down, but in Dubai, it didn't. And despite the high interest rates, Dubai real estate did really well, and we'll talk about that more. But at the end of the day, real estate is a very hard asset class to get into. It's restricted, it's inconvenient, it's expensive. Investing in real estate makes it, very hard because you're having to park all that money into one property. It's not very transparent, and it's just not cheap or easy, and it's very illiquid. And REITs, if they do exist, if you want to invest in real estate and invest in REITs, they're very they go along with the market. So if the market drops, the real estate price or your share price in REITs drop. So we believe that there's a better way for people to invest in real estate, and that's why we created Stake. Stake enables it empowers everyone to own and build wealth through real estate. It allows people to invest in Dubai real estate in under 3 minutes, starting from 500 dirhams on an app. It's 10,000 times faster than the traditional way of buying real estate. It allows you to diversify. And I really want to focus on this because usually when people tend to invest in real estate, they do one of two things. They either park all their life savings, cash, whatever it is, straight into property, or they get a mortgage and stretch themselves most of the time, go to bed at night knowing that they owe a bank, and put that money into a property that they either will get a property manager to rent out, or you manage yourself, which is a headache. With Stake, the beauty of it is any money that you put onto the platform or invest, you can diversify. So if you have $1,000, $10,000, whatever the number is, you can immediately diversify it across different properties and different locations. And you'll see, over the last year, we've really started adding different neighborhoods, more properties in prime locations so that you can diversify. So if one property, the rent goes down or it's vacant, you're not locking all that money into one property. You're able to diversify it across many. We're fully transparent because we're regulated by the Dubai Financial Services Authority. So every single property that you see on the platform has a full investment memorandum. We give you the latest valuation. We give you reasons of why this property is a good property to invest in. We really dump so much information to you, give you the access to that information because, when you're investing in real estate, we want to empower you with information. Versus kind of in the market, sometimes you're just given a brochure and you're told that the prices are going to jump up 50% when it's completed. We really give you real data. And the beauty of it is we don't do off plan. We do ready properties that can produce income for you at the end of every month. We distribute rental income at the end of every month. And it's better than the REIT, as I said. And most importantly, something that we introduced in 2023 are our exit windows. So when you invest on stake, you're able to sell your stake on the platform every 6 months to other investors based on the latest valuation. So what is stake? It's fractional ownership that gives investors an opportunity to own a piece of properties that they love. So we give you the power of selection. You can choose to invest in different areas, choose how much you want to invest in different areas, and it's very easy. It's like shopping on Amazon or ordering on Deliveroo. It's an e-commerce experience. You add to cart, buy a debit card, Apple Pay, bank transfer, and then you check out. We've really focused on our user experience with what we've built. How does it provide wealth? Collective property ownership by multiple investors. It gives you access to high value properties with lower capital. As I said, you don't have to lock up all that money into one property. In addition to that, what we've built this year is you're able to get access to the legal documentation. So whenever you invest in a property on our platform, because we're regulated and fully transparent, you get 2 sets of documents, which are in your portfolio, in your dashboard. You get a title deed and you get a share certificate. The title deed is in the name of the special purpose vehicle, the SPV, that owns the property. And the share certificate, you can go to the DIFC website and actually see how much your ownership is on that property straight onto the DIFC website. There's 2 ways of making money, which is, as I said, rental income. So every single property that we onboard is finished. It's either rented or we're going to rent it through a property manager. So you're able to get that income and we pay it at the end of every month straight into your stake wallet, which you can withdraw back to your bank account anywhere in the world. And then there's capital appreciation. We just exited the property where investors made, just on appreciation, just over 50% return in just under 2 years. So, as prices start to go up and, we believe that there's still a lot of upside in the Dubai real estate market, you'll make money from the actual valuation of your stake and the rental income that we pay. What have we done so far? Since we've launched in January 2021, we've amounted to over 442,000 registered users from 200 nationalities and 165 different countries. And, we really pride ourselves on that because, in 3 years, we've been able to attract so many people from around the world, different nationalities to invest in stake. And we can onboard anyone from anywhere in the world, regardless of where you are. It literally takes less than 3 minutes to create a stake account and start investing. We've transacted over 267 million dirhams, just over $70 million on the platform since we've launched, which is we're the clear leaders in the market in terms of properties, funding property transactions on the platform. In addition to rental income, we've distributed over 9.3 million dirhams, which is just under $3 million to our investors. And as we've grown, we've been able to list more expensive properties in different locations, and different areas to allow you to benefit from the diversity of the Dubai real estate market.
Okay, so diving into Dubai real estate. So we've got a lot of people on this call today. Some of you may know Dubai, some of you may not know Dubai. So what we'll do is we'll dive into how Dubai performed over the last 12 months. So Dubai had a fantastic year in 2023. The Dubai real estate market has done very well since COVID, year after year. And some of the things that have typically been against many of the markets around the world has definitely been around inflation and interest rates. So Dubai, as Rami mentioned earlier, definitely bucks this trend. So what we actually have in this market is a very investor-heavy market. And what that leads is more cash purchases. So as you've got more cash purchases, the impact with interest rates and increasing interest rates has less of an impact. We've also got some really, really big tailwinds. So that's zero income tax. We've got some really attractive visa options now that are enabling more people to enter this market. We've got the Dubai vision to double the population by 2040, which I'll go into later as well. And then Dubai has also been ranked one of the best cities in the world to live. So when we look on the right-hand side, you can see the residential sales transactions. So these are over the last 5 years. Now, you've got the off plan, which is in green, and then you've got ready in the grey. What we saw really was a rise in 2023 with more off plan launches. So the market has been doing very well. The market has been quite buoyant, and then developers have capitalized on that and introduced a lot more inventory to the market, and that has led to more off plan transactions. So as we look towards population growth, we do have a growing population, and as I mentioned, to double the population by 2040. And this is also when it comes down to private schools. So Dubai has typically attracted a lot of people coming in for maybe a couple of years and then leaving, but this is definitely an indication that that's changing. So we've seen the population growth continue. Population now stands at 3.6. We need to hit 5.8 by 2040. And it's the first time ever we've seen a double-digit growth in the annual rate of enrollment in Dubai private schools. So that's now 12% that have been registered as an increase for the academic year of 23 to 24. And this population growth, what does it mean? The type of people we're bringing in, and that definitely comes down to high net worth individuals. So when we look at high net worth individuals and the influx on 2022 versus 2023, you can see on the left-hand side, this is where we see migration outflows happening. So this is where the capital is leaving and the high net worth is moving away. China, India, UK, Russia, Brazil, which I don't think come as many surprise to many people. When we look at where high net worth individuals are moving, UAE slots in there at number 2, just behind Australia. Now, Australia isn't too surprising because Chinese love Australian real estate, and we've definitely seen in the Australian market more of an influx of Chinese buyers in 2023. But then we're also seeing the nationalities on the left-hand side move into the UAE as well. And this is definitely pushing up the high net worth in this market, which leads us on to what's happening in the luxury end of the market. So when you look at luxury real estate and you look at prime real estate, everybody has different price points on how you categorize that. And that definitely varies, not just within the Dubai market, but also around the world. So if we were to look at transactions over 15 million dirham, there's been a huge amount of an increase there, an 89% increase on the volume of transactions over 15 million dirham. We've definitely emerged as a global leader when it comes to luxury real estate. So if you look on the right-hand side, you can see some of the key luxury markets: Hong Kong, Singapore, New York, London. And when you look at the volume of transactions that are over now $10 million, so this is where we're getting into more of ultra prime real estate, you can see that we actually topped every other market around the world with 176 property sales, which is phenomenal. When we look at the lower end of the luxury market, but still premium, again, 15 million dirham, as I mentioned, 89% increase on that. And the type of stock that is getting bought is branded residences and waterfront property. So waterfront will always do well. And I think high net worth are aware of that, and developers make sure they build and they build these types of units with waterfront proximity. So Dubai Harbour over the last couple of years has been entering the off-plan and ready market, and has definitely dominated some of these transactions, as well as Palm Jebel Ali. So we had some launches there this year, which has definitely fueled some of the activity in the luxury end, alongside Palm Jumeirah, which is always kind of up there with one of the key markets for luxury real estate. Developers, as mentioned, continue to launch branded residences. These launches are selling out within minutes. So they're offering, buildings with studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms. But what we're seeing is studios and 1 bedrooms are getting sold out almost instantly. They're sold out within minutes of developers launching. And then within the next few weeks, you're noticing the 2 and 3 bedrooms sold as well. So there's a high appetite here for luxury market. It's something that's been going up over the last few years. And what we're seeing in Dubai is a lot of these high net worth individuals coming to Dubai. And although we have been experiencing the price increases, and we see the prices increase, month on month, year on year, people still enter this market and look at it compared to their home market. They compare it to other global cities, and they still think Dubai is cheap in the grand scheme of things when you compare it to these other cities. So on the right-hand side, this is reflected. When you look at the price per square foot, this is in US dollars, you can still see that Dubai has so much further to go when you compare it to quite a few of the other markets. This is something really interesting and something I think is really, really important for this market. So the typical buyer has shifted. So really what you want in a mature market is more end users buying and tenants turning into buyers. That is a very, very big indication of a maturing market. And many people have looked towards Dubai to make it their home. So if you look on the left-hand side, as I mentioned, Dubai is quite more of an investor-heavy market. That means more cash purchases, and they've typically made up the lion's share investors of the transactions. So on the left-hand side, you can see how end users year after year are actually increasing to a point where we're almost at 50-50 now. What this means is people aren't just coming into Dubai for a couple of years and leaving again and going back to their home. People are moving to Dubai, they're moving their families here, they're enrolling their children in schools, and they're making this as a place to live and a place to reside. What that means is the type of buyer that we're now seeing in this market hold. So these are not the type of people that get impacted by the market fluctuations and prices going up and down because they're homes, so the places they raise their children in the backyard and garden around the corner from school. And I think that that is a very, very healthy thing that we're starting to see in this market. And when you look at the previous market cycles that we saw, sometimes they could have been quite aggressive because you had a lot of investors in the market and you had a lot of investors speculating. The end users are definitely different buyer profile. And I think as we see more of the end users enter this market, it will definitely lead to more steadiness as we look at the market cycles within Dubai. So rents, if you're living in Dubai and you are a tenant, you will be fully aware rental prices are painful versus previous years. I think people have really noticed the increases. And what this has led to is more people looking outside of a city. So like with any major city, you will have your kind of core prime areas in central Dubai. And then as prices get too expensive, you move further out, typically suburbanization. Now, if you look on the left-hand side, the average rental price in Dubai is now 94,000 dirham. One thing that's important to look at is where we were pre-COVID. So what we actually noticed really since 2015, which was our peak, is rental prices continue to decrease around 7 to 10% a year from 2015 to 2021. Now, as these rental prices decrease, what we have actually seen since COVID is increases. So these rental prices have gone up now 20% from the year 21 to 22 and another 22% last year. Prices are still below the peak that we saw in 2015, the rental prices. But what we are seeing is as these prices increase the rents, which they normally do in a city that is growing, people start to look further out. So when you look at the rental transactions that we see last year, you definitely see higher occupancy rates, more lease renewals, which means that you've got more people moving out further to the suburbs, living in places much further out, villa communities, apartment communities as well, in search of making sure that they can ensure their rental income versus their rental payments versus their salary isn't as much. So I think like with any city as it expands, this is very, very normal. And again, we still get a lot of people that are entering this market, looking at the rental prices. They compare it to central prime locations of London, New York, Hong Kong, and they still think that it's cheap in the grand scheme of things. I think what happened during COVID as well is we had a lot of people that moved because rent was cheap. There's people getting large 4-bedroom villas in Dubai Hills in Emaar, which is a very prime master community here in Dubai. And to get a 4-bedroom villa in a very central location for 100,000 dirham is undervalued. So I think there's also a big element of property being undervalued during that period. And I think what causes a lot of pain now is people committed to things that were really undervalued in the market. And look, as a tenant, you have to pay the price eventually. And I think that's really what we've seen in the last few months. Okay, so going on to Stake's portfolio performance in 2023. So just a bit of a spotlight on our portfolio. So Stake has now generated over 9.5 million in total dirhams worth of rental income. Last year alone was 7 million dirhams. We also welcomed over 320,000 people to the platform from all across the world. So we've got investors sitting out of Tokyo, London, New York, Germany, France, Switzerland, all investing into Dubai real estate and getting a piece of Dubai. I think the Dubai story has been fantastic to help Stake grow, especially over the last year. I think everyone sees the potential of Dubai. They see the potential of the Middle East. That's definitely fueled a lot of our growth this year. So yeah, we've now done over 7 million dirham in rental income last year. We've added an extra 81 properties to our portfolio. Our portfolio has already gone up by, I think, about another 15 to 20 already this month. So growing at a record rate, which represented 164 million dirham worth in property transactions alone. And we added 10 new communities. So one thing that we really look at is where we buy our real estate. We are, our asset acquisition team are very, very strong on where we buy, what we buy, is it the right unit. We definitely believe real estate is a long-term hold. We believe the best way to make real estate is through capital appreciation. And we are very cautious about where we buy our properties. So typically when you land on Stake, some of you will be investors, you will know that we really tend to focus on our core prime communities, which in Dubai are Dubai Marina, Business Bay, Downtown, Palm Jumeirah, the Greens. But what we've started to do this year is also look at, as the city has expanded and the population is expanding, we're also looking at other communities we can look to also add value to our investors and our investors' portfolio. So we have started to introduce new communities, which offers, again, a great opportunity for diversification as well.
Thank you, Sarah. So what's next for 2024? Fine. So what do we expect to happen? Developers will continue to roll out launches throughout 2024 to add to the growing supply. You know, if you've been watching the news and kind of what's going on, a lot of the developers are launching in the luxury space. Their branded residences, 2024 has definitely not started slow. So developers, we believe developers will continue to launch to capitalize on new activity. Luxury market prices and transactions will rise with growing influx of high net worth individuals. Branded residences, as I said, you know, just today, there's a Mercedes branded tower that's being launched. We had the Four Seasons residences that are going to be launched in the IFC. I mean, there's just so much that's happening. One thing that I'd always look at is branded residences in prime areas, because those do fairly well. But one thing I'd like to say is be careful from branded residences that are opening in non-prime locations, because I don't think they're going to have the same capital appreciation effect that developers are promising. End user activity, as interest rates start dropping, as Sarah was mentioning earlier, you know, renters will start to become homeowners. And we're already seeing 3.99% 3-year fixed rates. So, you know, as interest rates drop, people will find it more affordable to buy their homes and invest in real estate. Especially as rent increases, we believe that higher occupancy people will start maybe move to buying rather than renting, as the rent starts becoming equivalent to what a mortgage cost would be. And then finally, you know, as prime areas and the rents start going up, we'll start seeing peripheral areas doing better, and we're already seeing that in places like JVC, Arjan, Sports City, International City, places outside of the usual suspects such as Business Bay, downtown Dubai, Palm Jumeirah, Dubai Marina, the waterfront, all those places. So we see that as residents start to look for more cheaper alternatives, they'll start moving to those peripheral areas, which is what we've seen in the past. Coming to stake. So what are our plans for this year? So we announced earlier this year that we got our license, or earlier last year, 2023, that we got our license in Saudi Arabia by the Capital Markets Authority. So we're very close. In 2024, we will be live in Saudi, and we're super excited about this. It was always part of our roadmap. We'll actually be one of the first platforms in the world, digital platforms in the world, to offer real estate in Saudi Arabia to global investors. And that's something that we're super excited. As we said, we have over 450,000 registered users from over 170 different countries. We've already gotten so much demand from people saying they want to invest in Saudi. The yields are very high. And what we're going to be doing is offering people access to private real estate funds, which has been inaccessible for real estate investors. And the reason why this is exciting is because you see in Dubai, we're doing residential real estate. In Saudi Arabia, we'll be able to do commercial, retail, development funds. And that's exciting because, Saudi Arabia right now with Vision 2030 is growing at an unprecedented rate. There's so much development opportunity. And to be able to give retail investors from around the world the opportunity to invest from the same app, the ability to invest in development funds, commercial funds where the yields are super high, is very exciting. And we'll also continue to look at income generating opportunities. So, we'll be looking at two types: development, off-plan, retail, but also income generating. We've already sourced some deals in the pipeline that we'll be announcing very soon. We expect to be live by the end of Q1, and please, stay tuned to that, because it's something that all of you will be able to do. And as I said earlier, it's going to be from the same app. So you don't have to download another app. The user experience is going to be phenomenal. Our tech and product team has been working on this for just over 6-7 months now, where you'll be able to click a button, be on the Saudi market, click another button, return to the Dubai market. So please stay tuned for this, because it's going to be exciting, and we'll announce it as we get closer to launch date. As I was saying, it's the largest market in the GCC. It's young population, 70% are under 30 years old, Vision 2030. So, one of the main things is Saudi non-oil export. They want to increase it from 16 to 50% of GDP. Real estate is one of the most important pillars of the Vision 2030. So for us to be able to participate in that and allow international investors to participate in that is going to be massive. So, we have a huge belief that this is going to be a game changer for all our investors, and it's going to enable our investors to expose themselves to a different market that is expanding at a very fast rate. Okay, so Golden visas. So we announced this earlier last year, and thankfully we've had a phenomenal, take up by many investors from around the world. But we wanted to really touch on this again because, as there's a lot of global uncertainty in many markets around the world, Dubai has continuously proven to be a market that's stable, where people from around the world has moved, set up homes and set up businesses here. So people want the ability to live in a place like Dubai. And before, the way you can do that as a non-resident is investing in real estate for 2 million dirhams. It was introduced in 2019. Over 150,000 have applied for it. Have been issued it. It enables you to live, work, and study in the UAE, sponsor your family, live income tax free. You can travel visa, for UAE residents to places like Hong Kong, Singapore, Philippines. It's one of the safest countries in the world. Living in the UAE, you can spend extended time, so you don't have to keep coming back and forth in the UAE. Once you get a golden visa, you can travel for extended periods and come back. You can work for yourself, set up your own company. You don't have to be on anyone else's sponsorship. And before we introduce this, the way to invest in real estate, in order to get a golden visa, you had to invest in real estate for 2 million dirhams. So you'd have to lock in that capital into one property, which then you'd have to manage yourself or get someone else to manage. Now, it took us close to 2 years to convince the authorities that, hey, listen, we want to offer this on stake. And, we finally got the approval last year. We've already issued over 20 of them to investors from really different places in the world. And the reason why we feel that the golden visa on stake is a lot more accessible and easier is because it allows you to do it first on a digital platform. We're regulated, so everything that you're investing in is secure. It's on an app, so it's paperless. It's fully digital, and it allows you to invest that 2 million dirhams across. You can do it across 10 or 20 different properties. We've had all our investors who got golden visas diversify across various properties, and that gives you peace of mind that not only are you getting a golden visa, but you're also getting properties that are managed, hassle-free for you. And they're done in a way where you've diversified your risk across different areas and neighborhoods in Dubai. So we're really pushing this. We'll be announcing a huge partnership with one of the largest investments for passport companies. We'll be announcing that next week because we really believe that users around the world and investors on our platform should have the ability to get this golden visa by investing on stake. There's also one thing I wanted to add before. Well, yeah, this is important, by the way. You can move to that. So the qualify for the golden visa, it's a 2 million, as we said. But you have to, because we're regulated, you would need to prove that your net worth is above $1 million outside your primary residence. You can do that. We have a dedicated client relations team. So if you're interested, you register. We'll have someone reach out to you to ensure that we get all your documents so that we can clear that you're a professional investor, and immediately you can invest using a debit card, credit card, bank transfer, whatever it is. And as I said, we've already issued over 20 to investors from around the world. Before we get into the questions, I just wanted to also say one thing that we're really doing and focusing on this year is expanding our app. So if you notice, we do a lot of updates, and the reason why we do that is because we are addicted to making sure user experience is at the top of mind. We take feedback from everyone, so our dashboard, the way you interact with the app, everything that you always ask for is in the pipeline, and you see that's the reason why we kind of release updates every other week, because we focus solely on making sure that your user experience is transparent, it's easy. So you'll see a lot more releases coming up over the next quarter that improve your portfolio experience, your dashboard, and just the way you can look at your returns and your capital appreciation and your overall portfolio performance. So please stay tuned for that, because we're definitely going to be improving the overall app experience. So now is your turn to ask us anything. We'll be answering questions. Please drop them in the Q&A box. We left a good half an hour to do this. We didn't want this webinar to be just us talking. But please let us know if you have any questions, and we'll start answering them live on this. So let's start. Samir has asked, secondary market should be made available anytime. Is there any thought process going on this? So we are, secondary market, which is our exit windows. We call it exit windows. It's made available 2 times a year. There has been thought about making it available more than 2 times a year, maybe quarterly, but it's not something that we'd make available all the time because we believe real estate is a longer term investment. So we don't want people to buy and sell immediately because there's costs involved. And if you do buy and sell immediately, you're actually going to lose money because of the transaction costs. So we really want people to actually benefit from the platform, which is why we have a 1 year lockup period, so that over time you've made money on the rent and the capital appreciation. So we are looking at making it more than 2 times, but it's not something that we've looked at making available anytime. So yeah. I'll answer a couple more. Why don't you give a 1 year rent at a time for investor while you get it one time as Dubai government's rule? There isn't a government rule that says rent is paid 1 year upfront. Actually, none of the rents are paid 1 year upfront. It's not a rule. Some are paid 12 months upfront, some are paid monthly, some are paid quarterly. As soon as we get rent, we distribute it at the end of every month to our investors. So it's not a rule that rent is paid upfront for 1 year. It actually differs on the tenant and the landlord. I'll answer one and then I can pass it to you, Sarah. Should I wish to invest more than 2 million dirhams? How can I do that? As I said, right now, you can classify yourself as a professional investor. Actually, the limit on our platform, if you're a retail investor, is $50,000, which is 183,000 dirhams per year. If you'd like to invest more than that, or you would like to use a credit card, you would have to classify yourself as a professional investor, which basically means you would need to show that your net worth is above $1 million outside your primary residence. We can do that for you, and then you can start investing any amount you'd like. Would you like to take over?
So we're getting a few questions that are quite similar, which is, can you list real estate outside of Dubai? So I think Saudi is definitely our first move towards that. One thing that's also important to note is because we are regulated by the Dubai Financial Services Authority in Dubai, it does mean that we have to be more cautious on other markets we take on. We are looking at other Emirates within the UAE. We are looking at international real estate as well. We're not there yet, but it's definitely in our plans to start offering other international real estate on the app as well. I just saw another question. Where was it? Yeah, so what's the cheapest and most expensive stake prices? So look, on stake, you can invest from 500 dirham. You can invest that as a one-time, you can invest that every single month, you can invest it every single day, but it's a 500 dirham starting point. We typically list real estate that starts at around 850, 900,000, up to maybe like 3 or 4 million villas. So we vary in terms of the type of asset that we actually put on. So it allows people to diversify their portfolio within stake as well. There's another one there about the return. So looking at the overall ROI that we delivered to our investors last year, it was just over a 9% ROI, which takes into account your capital appreciation and net yield as well.
Okay, I'll take over some. So we have a question here saying, hey there, I'm from Cairo and living in Egypt. When will you open deposits by credit card? Unfortunately, in order to open deposits by credit card, you would need to be a professional investor. Retail investors, as per our regulator, the Dubai Financial Services Authority, you can't invest using a credit card unless you're a professional investor. Why aren't you investing in Abu Dhabi? So we're actually working on that right now. The rules kind of differ between Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and we're trying to get over kind of the differences in those and work with the authorities there to offer Abu Dhabi. We believe there's amazing opportunities there. But in order to protect our investors and your money, we need to make sure that the legalities are fully ironed out before we make that step. Why aren't you buying from developers and selling it to us in stakes? I'll tell you, so most developers are selling off plan, and our regulator does not allow off plan. And, to be completely frank with you, we don't mind that much because at the end of the day in Dubai, when there's so much ready stock that is yielding real estate for you, yielding rental income for you, we want to focus on that. Because at the end of the day, when you're buying off plan, you're going to have to wait to make any money and just hope that there's capital appreciation. The average build time in Dubai is around 4 to 5 years. So if you're buying something off plan, you're not going to make any rental income and just hope the fact that the prices will keep going up and then eventually you can exit in 4 to 5 years. We have a bias towards giving investors that monthly income, because we believe that there's a lot of opportunity to buy ready stock and distribute that rental income for you on a monthly basis. If you can invest in Dubai and in KSA in the same app, will the transactions be in one currency, or will they be a currency converter? So you will always pay in the currency of your card, and our payment provider will convert it for you. We don't charge any fees on our debit card transactions, but if your bank charges, that will be up to you, up to your bank. But on our platform, there will be no charges, and it all depends on what currency your card is. So if you're investing in Saudi, your card will be converted, the payment will be converted to riyals, and if you're investing in the UAE, whatever your card is will be converted to dirhams. In KSA, can investors get a stake in the actual property or invest in real estate funds? So phase one is going to be real estate funds. You'll be able to diversify and get into various real estate funds, as I said, whether it's development, retail, commercial, or ready stock. Phase two is going to be what we basically do in Dubai, allowing you to invest into actual apartments where you can make yield. Are there freehold properties in KSA? They're actually in the process of announcing this very soon. We've been working very closely with the Real Estate Regulatory Authority there to understand when that's going to be. And it's going to be announced very soon. And as soon as it is, we'll be one of the leading apps for investors to participate in this. Do we rent funded apartments on long-term basis or short-term? So, around last year, short-term was doing a lot better than long-term. And we decided to move some of our portfolio to short-term. But as rents kept on going up, we saw that short-term companies and short-term rents weren't bringing in much higher yields than long-term. And there was obviously a lot more risk, right? Because when you're renting something on a nightly basis and the summer comes in, your rates are going to drop. So we said, okay, let's have less of a focus or portfolio focus on short-term, and let's move some of our stock to long-term. And actually, that's really produced good returns. But at the end of the day, it all depends on where the property is located, what view it has, what kind of tenant profile the building attracts and the apartment attracts. We still are very open to doing both short-term and long-term. At the end of the day, we want to maximize the returns for our investors. There's a lot on credit cards. Honestly, I wish we could offer credit cards, guys, but as per the regulator, we're not allowed. We're trying to speak to them to allow this, but it's not that easy. What is the most expensive property stake as funded till date? Just a property over close to 6 million dirhams. It was a 3-bedroom apartment in downtown Dubai called Boulevard Point. If someone lives in France, can they invest with stake from there with no issues or need to reside in the UAE? Yes, we earlier said anyone from anywhere in the world can invest on our platform. All you need is a valid passport and a proof of address, and you're ready to go. We'll onboard you in literally 3 minutes. I want to answer this one, and then I'll pass it to you, Sarah, because I really like this question. Abdur asks, as Middle East geopolitical situation is not too good due to war, how can an investor rely on real estate? Because there's recession all over the world. Will it affect Dubai real estate market? So yes, there has been a recession around the world, but as we said earlier, Dubai has outshined and outperformed every single city in the world, as it usually does. When usually the world was slowing down, Dubai in the last 3 years has done phenomenally well. And as interest rates come down, property market will also go up. And as prices of oil haven't dropped, they have dropped a bit, but they haven't collapsed. We still feel that there's a long way to go in the market, and there's a long way to go in terms of pricing. And why do I say, what Dubai has shown time and time again, when there's geopolitical risk or uncertainty around the world, people always tend to come to Dubai. And the reason why is time and time again, Dubai has really established itself as a safe haven. It's a safe city. You know what you're going to get. The leadership, the laws, the rules, the regulation is super transparent, which is why so many hedge funds, companies from around the world are moving to Dubai and setting up shop here, because of the fact that despite everything that's going on in the world, you can really count on Dubai and Riyadh as those two cities where you can really still do business because they're not affected. Actually, this uncertainty always brings more capital inflows, and we've seen it over the last 15 to 20 years. Whenever there's been, even back to the war in Kuwait, we saw a lot of money being parked into Dubai and the United Arab Emirates because of the fact that it's always established itself as a safe haven.
I wanted that question. So someone said, I'm new to this. Do you have an advisor consultation? Yeah, we have a really, really strong customer onboarding team. So please reach out to us after this and we can put you in contact. A couple of questions on our investment strategy. So the first one is, are we moving out further to the suburbs to cater to the demand? Yes. So we have actually we've just listed a couple of properties in Jumeirah Golf Estate, which is further out. So we are looking to other places as well to cater to the demand. We are, like I say, very cautious in terms of where we look to invest. But that's definitely something that we are already doing and will continue to do so as we add on new communities. For a non-professional investor, is the investment cap $50,000? So that's an annual limit of $50,000 that you can invest, yes, as a non-professional investor. And again, to qualify as a professional investor on stake, you need to prove that net worth of $1 million. Another couple here. What are the risks associated with investing on stake? So look, like real estate, typical risks that you have in real estate, market cycles happens, market can go up, market can go down. That's why we, as an investment strategy, we really do believe in capital appreciation and holding long term. People have always made a solid investment with returns with a long term hold on real estate. So when we talk about risks associated with stake, it's like with anything, if you were to go and invest yourself in the real estate market. But that is why we are so diligent on the type of units that we buy. And I think this is also something that sets us apart from competitors. There's two ways to make money in real estate: rental income and capital appreciation. We believe in a hybrid, but we do not go against the prediction of capital appreciation by just focusing on net yields. So you might, there are places in Dubai, for example, there's places like Discovery Gardens when you can get net yields of about 8 and 9%, which is phenomenal. But these places do not offer you capital appreciation. These places will not offer you capital appreciation in the long term. It's the prime areas, the prime central locations in Dubai by solid developers that will offer you the capital appreciation. So I think that it's always important to bear in mind when you look at fractional ownership businesses and you look at investing, it's not just about the yield you get, it's the capital appreciation as well. Something about just here, are the rentals that we invest in via stake also regulated because of the RERA rent calculator? If we want the tenant to vacate, do we have to give them a year's notice? Yes. So we operate under RERA. We are a landlord essentially, or our investors are a landlord. So yeah, we would have to give notice if we're going to vacate any of the properties. The good thing is that really helps us as well from an acquisition of property standpoint, that helps us get good opportunities for our investors, is a lot of people in the market right now, they want vacant on transfer properties. We love a tenanted property. So when we find properties that have got a 2-year rental agreement already in place and we're happy with the rental yield, they're kind of properties that we move very quickly on. So that definitely helps us secure some good deals in the market as well. What's the exit criteria? So you just need to hold your property for 1 year to be able to qualify for our exit windows that happen in May and November. And then if we go to a whole exit, again, we would put a vote to our investors to exit that property for X amount, and then we would execute that transaction. Something here, why not the luxury off-plan market? So again, we can't operate in off-plan. We can only, because of our regulation, do ready residential real estate. The luxury end of the market is definitely something I think we're starting to increase some of the prices we're looking at. It's not something we're completely kind of ignoring, but what we do is just make sure that we're going for units that, again, could offer that rental yield and a high occupancy rate, because that's very, very important.
So there's two questions that I'd really like to answer, and then I can get into more, but there's two kind of recurring ones. One of them is regarding one of the key risks that is stated, which is required by a regulator, which says, your capital is at risk and is not guaranteed. So, in any investment, there's risk. And I'll tell you what kind of the risks are in investing in real estate. So, and is not guaranteed. So returns are not guaranteed. Yes. When you invest in real estate, whether you invest through stake or in your own property, there might be vacancy. A tenant might leave. A tenant might default. The price, if something happens to the market, prices might drop. So we have to say that nothing is guaranteed, and that's protection for you as an investor, so that you're aware. Now, if Stake were to cease operations tomorrow, God forbid something happens to Stake, we need to close down, what happens to your investment? The beauty of our platform, unlike other investment asset classes, is every single property that you invest in is ring-fenced in a special purpose vehicle, an SPV and the DIFC. What that means is if anything were to happen to us and we would shut down tomorrow, your property is still owned by the SPV. We have no ownership in that. So that property is still owned by you. You can get a property manager. You guys can decide to sell it, whatever it is. Nothing happens to your property and your investment if something were to happen to Stake. And that's something I want to highlight. But the risks that are involved with investing in a platform like ours is anything that has to do with real estate, which basically means the returns are not guaranteed. The fact is that there's a risk there. So I just wanted to highlight that. Another question is, people ask us, there are some competitors in the market. How do you differ from competitors? I'd like to say that there's, we've been in the market now for just over 3 years. We're in our 4th year now, and we've now taken over the largest market share. We have the highest number of transactions, highest number of users. You can look at our ratings. We're fully transparent. We've paid the highest amount of rental income. And I'll say, as when you're investing in a platform, yes, you see an app, but you need to look at the team behind the app. And what are their experience in the market? And I think one of the main things that differentiates us, I know one of the things that differentiates us from other players in the market is our experience in the region, not just Dubai, but in the region. Our ability to look at both technology, real estate, and finance. All our investors have made great returns. We focus on an unbelievable app. You can look at our ratings. So not only is it the team, but the team that's brought you an easy to invest and easy to use, a very transparent app. And also we've been able to get and secure fantastic properties at fantastic locations in great neighborhoods, which have enabled investors to make great yields and rental income distributed on a monthly basis. Also when you look at kind of who we partner with, if you look at our asset managers, they're some of the best in the world. And that ensures and gives you peace of mind that you're not only dealing with an app and that's run by a team, but also our after service. How do we take care of your properties? Do we make sure that we furnish them? Are we choosing prime locations, good developers? It's very easy to choose a property anywhere in Dubai and try to get it funded and tell people, oh, you're going to make 9%. We all know that, someone or a competitor that might say you might make high yields, we know that in prime areas, you're not going to make 10%. You'll make, strong yields, but you won't make 10%. And, I don't think there's many real estate markets in the world that do that. So we were very transparent. We're very honest. We're very straightforward in the returns. And that's what differentiates us from many other platforms. And I think one thing that we really focus on as well is our after sales service. Anytime you want someone to speak to, we're always there for you. We've built a fantastic customer relations team that's available at all times to answer any questions, and you can see that from our ratings. So I wanted to really knock on those 2 things. Can we get a statement or returns for the year for tax purposes? Yes, if you can reach out to us, we can provide you with a statement of income. We're actually going to implement that on the platform very soon, that you can kind of download your rental income or your total earnings, and you'd be able to use that for tax purposes if you like. Someone has asked, which way is the less charge for customers that are outside of Dubai while depositing money? Is it debit card, bank transfer? And I'll tell you what we've seen is for some, it's depending on the bank, it's a debit card because it's a quick investment, but also depending on the rate that you can secure from your bank, a debit card works well. But what we've seen is also some people in different countries prefer to use a wire transfer because of the fact that the charges are less. So it really matters on what you can get from your bank. What we would advise is check with your bank what the rates are for using a debit card versus a wire transfer, and then do that because it really differs from bank to bank. We are allowed to do short-term rentals, and as I said earlier, we do those, and wherever it makes sense to do those short-term rentals, we do that. But as I said, it's not always higher yields because there's higher risk involved. So let me just check more. What are the guarantees in case of any damages on the property? Every single property is insured. So God forbid anything happens to the property, it is fully insured. If you sell your stake during the exit window and reinvest with the proceeds from the sale, do these reinvested proceeds count towards your 183,000 dirham yearly investment limit? Yes, correct. They do. What is the name of the authorities that issues your certificates? So there's two types of authorities. We have the DIFC, which is a Dubai International Financial Center, where your share certificate is issued and you're able to see that on the website. And then there's the title deed, which is issued in the name of the company in the SPV in the DIFC, which is the Dubai Land Department. What is the minimum amount that we can get for referrals? It depends on your tier. So we have three types of tiers: intro, elite, and plus. And at the end of the day, it depends on what tier you fall in. And it's on our app and our website, you're able to see what your referral fee is. You want to take over? Go ahead.
So can I exit my investment after a certain time, or does it have to be a majority vote to sell? So yeah, the exit window, again, you need to be in the property for 1 year. So the 1 year in the real estate to be able to then exit the property. A majority vote to sell. So this is typically where we know the property is appreciated by X amount. We can then do a vote to our investors and offer them the opportunity. And if the majority like to exit, again, we can exit that property transaction. Will Stake in the future start buying and renting other types of units, retail properties, parkings, etc.? Yes. So commercial is a big focus for us. We're really driving towards offering commercial real estate this year. And I think commercial is a very unique opportunity for investors, because typically it's something you don't really get access to as a retail investor. And on top of that, you really get the long-term tenancy hold as well. So yes, we are. We're looking at multiple ways that we can help you diversify your portfolios in Stake, and that's definitely just one of them. Just looking what else we've got. If I become elite tier, how long will I stay elite tier before investing again? So you have 12 months. We recently changed the logic on this. So to keep your tier status, you need to invest the amount for the last 12 months. So to be plus, you need to have 25,000 dirham over the last 12 months, and elite 100,000 dirham. And you can keep all of the benefits that you get by being that level as a tier. For anybody that's not an investor on Stake, definitely have a look at the app and look at the different tiers that we offer. The minute you hit a certain threshold, you get definitely better perks, cashbacks, etc., better rewards. And our reward program is very, very strong. So it's worth having a look at as well if you're interested in that. I haven't seen commercial real estate yet on the platform, correct? What's the reason? Yeah, correct. So commercial real estate isn't there yet. We are working really hard on this. Again, this is down to regulation. So we're working with the regulators to bring commercial real estate. We know that it will be this year. It's just a matter of when we can get everything finalized and over the line, and you'll be the first to know when we do. Heard that Sharjah is good. Are we planning to enter there? So again, we're looking at other Emirates as well. It's something, again, we're actively working on to launch different properties and give the option to invest in different properties across different Emirates. RAK is another Emirate that's doing very, very well that we're really interested in. So yeah, I think this year there's some exciting things happening in terms of different types of assets and in different locations as well.
I can touch on RAK because that's kind of a recurring question. As we know, the real estate market in Ras Al Khaimah is doing very well with the recent announcements about what they're doing, and in terms of tourism and just opening up global resorts. We're definitely looking at RAK. Actually, please stay tuned for an announcement. But the only thing I just want to highlight is at the end of the day, because the rules and regulations in Dubai with the Dubai Land Department and Dubai International Financial Center enables thousands of investors to come together and own a property. We're working with the regulators and the land departments in the various Emirates to ensure that we can have the same protection for investors. We're very close to getting to that. Once it's done, we will be launching there. And we're actually close to closing on 2 Emirates, which we'll be announcing this year as well. One question here, which I wanted to answer is, regarding the Saudi operations, how does the FX conversion work for KSA residents? You'll be paying in Saudi Riyal. So everything in Saudi Arabia will be in Saudi Riyal. And for international investors investing into Saudi Arabia, whatever currency your card's in, it will be converted to Saudi riyals, similar to what we do here in the UAE, whereby everything is converted to the UAE dirhams, Emirati dirham. One thing, so some people ask, I invest, the property is closed. Why does it sometimes take two months to get my first rental income? So you have to understand that once we close a property, what ends up happening is we have to fund the property, then we have to create the SPV, and then we have to do the transfer. So some of the properties that we buy are mortgaged, and when they're mortgaged, it's a longer process. And the reason why that is because you have to go and close the mortgage, you have to get the bank to go through the process. And as I'm sure many of you know, whether you live in the UAE or outside the UAE, banks are not the fastest entities out there. They take their sweet time in clearing documents and clearing mortgages, especially mortgages. So we have to deal with a bank to close the seller's mortgage. And once that happens, which sometimes take up to 14 working days, we then have to do the transfer at the land department or the trustee office, and then the title deed's issued. If the property is vacant, then we have to find a tenant. So sometimes it might take longer than others. If it's mortgaged, it will take longer. If it's vacant and we're going to rent it, it might take longer. But if it's not mortgaged and it's rented, you'll get an income immediately. I'll say something which, I want you guys to be aware of since we launched the business. Now it takes us an average of 13 days to fund a property, which is much faster than the market average. If you want to sell your property today in Dubai, it takes closer to 60 to 90 days. If it's mortgaged, it could potentially take longer. With stake, it really takes us just literally 13 days to fund the full property, and then we do the transfer after. So one question is, why can't you assign one of your friends or relatives to deposit on your behalf? So as per our regulator, third-party transfers due to KYC requirements is not allowed because of the fact that whoever is funding the account, the money needs to come from that person for anti-money laundering issues and KYC issues. So we have to abide by that, and it's something that we take very seriously. Talking about risk, what happens to my investment if there's a dip in the market? So that's a risk that applies to any asset class you invest in, which is why we're very particular, and this is something that differentiates us from a lot of our competitors. We really focus on properties that make sense in terms of location, that are prime. I've been in the market in Dubai now for 18 years, since 2006, and I saw the cycles. And whenever the cycle dropped, prime properties in good locations with good developers, you're still able to rent and get a good yield. Yes, the prices may have taken a dip, but over a longer term, that price is recovered, but you're still able to make a strong yield. So this differentiates us. We've been, since day one, very focused on choosing the best properties with the best developers in the market and ensuring that the tenants that are there are solid and are paying on time. How do you take this? Okay. So we do perform stress testing on our portfolio. Before any property is listed on our platform, we do stress testing to ensure that if the market drops, what kind of yields we'll be able to get, what types of returns, what types of rent, if it's short-term, if it's long-term. And we look at basically what we've done, what the market's done over time, especially in those buildings. So we ensure that if the market does take a dip, our investors are still making a healthy yield. How is asset value calculated? So you need to know every property that's listed on our platform goes through a third-party valuation. It's not through us. Third-party valuation that comes in, looks at the market, the transactions, and gives a valuation on every single property. And based on the exit windows, every 6 months, if you look at your dashboard when you invest with stake, your stake is updated to the value of the latest valuation report. Let me see if there's anything here. Why is rent only secured for the first year of rental? So usually rents in Dubai are yearly. Sometimes you can convince the tenant to sign a 2-year contract. It's rare. Most of them are renewed yearly. So at the end of the day, we try to push to get you a long-term rental contract. But for us, what we do is we ensure that the rental is at least solid for 1 year. And hopefully tenants, when the rent's going up so much, they tend to move less. So we feel that when we get a tenant and they're sticky, then they renew year over year. And one thing that we are and I said this differentiates us from a lot of other players, is our property managers are really the top in the market. They're global property managers. And what we do is to ensure that the tenant that's staying in our properties are well taken care of. If it's furnished, the furniture is always taken care of. If there's any maintenance issues, we really go far and above the market norm to ensure our tenants are really getting the best experience at Stake Apartments. Let me just see. Is there any more? Have I missed any? I'm trying to go are any fees related to property management disclosed at investment stage? Yes, they are. If you look at the IM, you're able to see what are the fees for property management, whether it's short-term or long-term. Can they increase? So we sign contracts with property managers to ensure that we have the best rates. So, can they potentially increase? Yes, property managers can at some point increase, but I think the fact that now we've scaled, as we have over 160 properties, our property managers really give us the best rates in the market. And we negotiate the best for our investors to ensure that we're getting you the best yields. Would be good to add a feature which shows the properties on the map visualization. We'll make note of that and we'll get our product team to do that. And you can bet that you'll have that done before the end of the year, because as I said, we make sure that our product team really listens to our investors' requirements. Do you want to go?
Yeah, so when do we make a decision that a property is going to be sold? So like when we think about how we invest, we definitely would rather hold our real estate long term, and the exit windows are your opportunity to exit the investment. But at 5 years, what we do is we go out and value the property, we present that property to investors and give the option to sell. And then likewise, if we also get an offer for a unit, so let's say we have a 2-bedroom in a building in downtown and we get an offer for something that's about 25% capital appreciation on the initial investment, we will then put a vote to our investors to give them the option if they want to sell. So that's exactly how else we might exit. In terms of do we own any real estate? No. So the best way to think of Stake is kind of like an asset manager. So we're not allowed to own any real estate because of our regulation. We simply manage it on behalf of our investors, and work with you to make the best decisions on how to manage the real estate as well. Apartment hotels, not something that we're looking into or including at the moment in our portfolio. What happens if the market goes down? So what happens if my investment goes down with Stake? So like with real estate, again, if you're buying into the real estate at a certain point in the market cycles do happen. The market can go up and down, which is why if you're investing in real estate, you should definitely think about it as a long-term hold. We are not trying to make real estate a day trading platform. We're not trying to make people double their money overnight. We're trying to offer access to an asset class which provides really strong, stable returns, and holding long-term is the best chance of increasing the wealth that you build through Stake. What else is there? Yeah, we've had a few product and feature requests on here. So if you're sending any product and feature requests, thank you. We'll make sure that gets fed back to our product team.
Please provide investors documents folder where he or she can directly download all related papers. It's actually there. If you are updated to the latest app, we announced this around 3 or 4 months ago. You can go straight to your dashboard and you can see your documents per property. So you don't need to have that. It's very seamless. You can see all those documents straight on your app. You don't have to look anywhere. Someone's asking, how do I make sure that I actually own my ownership in that property? So actually, when you're on the app and you go to your portfolio section, there's a link, you click it, and it takes you to the official DIFC website where you're able to see your name on the SPV. And the title deeds that we provide have a QR code, which you can scan on your phone and see that title deed is real, is a real ownership document. So, all of this we're super transparent. So I believe it would help to have actual photos of the units. We do. Every single property has actual photos and the 3D tour. Sometimes the 3D tour is a bit delayed, and the reason why is because if there's a tenant inside, it's a bit difficult to convince the tenant to allow us to do a 3D tour at the time that we're listing the property. So it might be a couple of days delayed, sometimes a week delayed, but every property on our platform will have photos, real photos, plus 3D tours. What will the return on investment annually be for the KSA investment funds? So Saudi Arabia investment funds have some of the highest returns in the world. We're talking about in some cases high double digits. and some of them high single digits. So there's going to be, as I said earlier, when we started the webinar, there's going to be amazing opportunities to invest in Saudi Arabia. And as I said, you're going to do it from the same app. It's going to be seamless for all of you. So, please stay tuned. We're really excited about our entry into the market. So how many this is important. How many of stake properties within the last 3 years ended up being the wrong investment and did not bring any ROI? None of our investments have not brought any return on investment. Every single property on our platform has been rented and has brought in rental income for our investors. And almost all our properties, actually all our properties, the prices have gone up, and you can see that on the platform, on the latest valuation. Yes, the title deed exists by the government, so I can only see that my name is in the shareholders. But you can see your name, but you actually see how many shares you own. So when you go to the official website of the DIFC, you can see how many shares you have, and those shares are equivalent to how much you own in the SPV. If you just go to the DIFC website, which you provide on your app, you're able to see that. It's super transparent. You see how much shares you own per property. For the future, are you taking into consideration investments through crypto? Trust me, I would love to add that payment method, but unfortunately, we're regulated, and the regulator currently does not allow payments through crypto. We believe crypto is something that's here to stay. We believe it's an investment channel. It's a currency, and we'd love to use it, but unfortunately, right now, it's not accepted by our regulator. Can I take my money withdrawal into an account in India? You can withdraw your money into any account in the world, as we said, as long as it's under your name and you're the owner of the account and the account on stake, we can transfer that money to anywhere in the world. We'll answer questions for 3 more minutes, and then I think we can shut it down. I don't know. The first? Joe, will you offer investments in stake itself? Something like a Start Engine or another, give the opportunity to investors to invest in you. First of all, thank you for that. I'm very grateful that you'd love to and proud actually that you'd love to invest into stake. Unfortunately, we don't have that option right now. We're actually in the process of announcing a funding round, which we'll be announcing in Feb. We have some great shareholders who are coming in, and we'll be announcing our Series A very soon. But that's not something that we enable right now.
Sorry. Someone asking about rent paid monthly, it's about 5%. So again, the rental income will vary depending on the unit you're invested in. If it's tenanted, if it's short-term, long-term, so that will vary. Also having questions just around the net yield as well. It was 1% less than it was expected. Again, fluctuations can happen, but again, you can have an increase on your rent as well. So what we do is we forecast based on the rental prices that we expect for that unit over the coming 5 years, and that's what you see in the projections. And then we've also had a couple of questions just in terms of our management fees in terms of the transactions. So when you go onto stake, you'll see it clearly on there. So when you invest in the property, we don't just offer and present to you the gross yield. We also make sure we represent the net yield, so you know exactly how much money is going to be in your pocket each month. So when you kind of go to the checkout as well, depending on how much you've put in your basket, you'll see what that will look like in terms of monthly returns to you also. I think that's pretty much it in terms of questions. Yeah, I think that's it. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. We hope you've learned a lot about stake. It's given you a bit of an update again on the Dubai real estate market as well. I'll hand over to you, Rami.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, everyone. Really, we really appreciate your patience and attending this webinar. As I said, we're fully committed to our investors, our users. We take your feedback seriously. Our whole company is based on the fact that we really are a business that depends on being transparent, accessible to all of you. And as we expand, we really want you to grow with us and earn more rental income and get exposed to real estate through a digital app. So, please stay tuned to more exciting announcements that we're going to have. And we really appreciate the time that you've put in with us today, and your continuous feedback that we take very seriously. So thanks a lot for everything. Please keep giving us the feedback, and really appreciate all of you. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. Thanks, everyone.